Hi, my name is Bernie Fleischer. I've been fortunate enough to spend a lot of my life playing the flute in various studio groups and with a group called the Bahamaruba Band, which you might find on YouTube if you go poking around. And today we're going to introduce you to the flute from the very beginning. It will come to you in a carton like this, and we'll open it up and take it out. Hopefully, there it is, wrapped in plastic. And we'll get rid of that too, if we can. And we'll open the case. And you'll notice the flute is also wrapped in plastic. And before you unwrap it, there are three sections to the flute. This one is called the body. This one is called the foot, because as you'll see it goes on the end. And this is the head joint. So let's start unwrapping it and see where we go. This large piece is the body, and as you can see it contains a whole lot of keys. And it even comes with a cork in the end. And this we'll talk about after a while. Let's take this protective cap off. There's a protective cap on the end of the foot joint. We'll take that off. We'll put that back in the case. And then we'll take the foot joint out. This one is a little unusual. There we go. And we'll carefully slide it out so that we don't bend the keys. There's the foot joint, and then we'll take the head joint out. The head joint also has an end cap, a plastic cap on it, to protect this part of the head joint, which will go into the body of the flute. So there we have them, the three parts of the flute. Not very complicated, but there are some corks in here that they put in for shipping, so we'll have to get rid of those guys. They'll come out here. Well, there's quite a few of them. There's one in here that's really deep. And these are just in there to protect the keys, keep them from banging around when the flute's being shipped to you. Did we get all of them? I think we did. Keys seem to work, so I think we got all there. There is a cork on the foot joint, so we've got that off. And what I do is I will press this key down so that it can't get bent or damaged, and then holding it this way, put the foot joint on. And the way you know whether it's on correctly is if this rod here bisects that key on the bottom. If it does, your foot joint's in the correct position. The next thing you want to do is to attach the head joint to this. And again, I grab the body of the flute where there are no keys. And he said, and sometimes I'll even just blow a little warm air into there to expand this a little bit so that the head joint fits more easily. And that does. And the way you line up the head joint and the lip plate with the body of the flute and the foot joint, you will determine really on your own about what's most comfortable for you. But let's start out by putting it in line with this second key here. We'll put that hole in the embouchure plate on the head joint in line with this second hole. And there you have it. You have a flute ready to play. Now, if you're just starting to play the flute, it's a little difficult to line up your lip with that head joint with the entire flute at first, because the rest of the flute is way out here and it's kind of dangling in space and stuff, and so it's hard to find a place to make a sound, to blow on it. And so what I do is, when I work with students, we take the head joint off first, and we work with just the head joint. And the way you do that, if you tried it open the way it is there at the end, you wouldn't get much of a sound at all. But we cover that with our hand and hold it like this. And the sound on the flute is produced by blowing air down into that hole that's in the flute. And the way to get the air to go down, if you just went like that, it would go across. So you have to kind of make your upper lip into this shape and have the air go down into it, just like you'd blow into a soda bottle, if you've ever done that. If you blow into a soda bottle, you blow down, you get the air to go down. So let's try that. You take the head joint, this part of the lip plate goes just where the red of your lip starts, right there, just at that part. If you can put this right there, and then blow the air down. It's kind of like this. You let the air explode through your lips, just like that, almost as if you were spitting a tiny seed or something off your upper lip. One word of advice: always, when you're starting out, practice sitting on a bed, because sometimes if you don't get the sound right away, you keep trying, and then you run out of air, and your body runs out of air, and you may need that bed. So just try it there first. After you can produce a good tone on the head joint, then you can go ahead and put it back into the flute, and then you will see that holding it is a whole different part of the ball game. The flute is actually held up by the player. There's no neck strap, nothing holding it up. So you have to do some kind of funny acrobatics with your hand. It has to look like that. Your hand looks like that, and the flute goes into it. And then your finger goes on that first key. You put your finger on the first key and you curl your hand around it. And the rest, the other two, you skip a key, and the rest 2 and 3 go there, and your thumb goes on these, so that you could actually hold it up with one hand if you had to. But instead of holding it up with one hand, you put your thumb under this little gizmo right here, so that you can access those 3 last keys. And then you can hold the flute and do what we did before. And you can see that's how you hold it. Your arm is at this angle, your fingers are bent around those keys, your thumb is under here, and then you're there. And that's kind of your first introduction to the flute. Oh, and by the way, we now have to put the flute back into the case so you can carry it with you. So when we go to do that, we reverse everything that we did originally. Remember, we don't grab the flute around where there are keys. We grab it up here where there are no keys, and you rotate the head joint. You turn it, and turn it in small turns until it wants to come out. There it comes out. And you can, if you wish, protect the head joint with a plastic piece, and it goes back in the case. And to take the foot joint off, we do the same thing. Remember, we pressed this key down, and we held it, and we rotate it like that, holding it up here where there are no keys. And we take the little protective cap to protect the end piece there, and we put that in the case. And then the foot joint goes there like that. Incidentally, every time you put the flute in the case, close it, at least one of these pieces, because otherwise you pick it up and forget that you haven't locked the case or closed the case, and the flute spills out. I've seen that happen a lot. So be thorough, and once it's in its case, be sure and close the case. And I think that's it.